This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. I have a blog post called Good Cop. It's in response to the New Jersey Wildwood Beach, Wildwood, New Jersey arrest. The video went viral. A police officer punched a drunk underage girl, and that got widespread attention. Then additional information became available, additional evidence. Mike, who is been in law enforcement 20-some years, been in law enforcement more than 2 decades, and I assume a police officer for some part, or I don't think all of it. He's scheduled to retire soon. Mike commented on my blog. There are a lot of components that occurred during this incident, which led to the controversy. The officers handled everything correctly up to issuing of the citation, which in itself is not an arrestable offense. The female, at that point, is under legal obligation to identify herself, which, as we can plainly see, she refuses. At that point, situation changes, becomes an arrestable offense. The video then clearly shows her walking away to evade being arrested, which now adds a resisting arrest charge to the matter. This escalates further when she shoves the officer when he attempts to apprehend her, as well as spit on the other. Moving from a few misdemeanors, now a felony assault. I did not see the officer getting kicked, as he claims, body cam angle, so I wouldn't bother to address it. At that point, the general rule is using the force necessary to effect the arrest. I'm unfamiliar with the department's exact use of force policy. I can see that she did continue to actively resist the officer's command, which naturally continues to escalate the situation, the officer's physical response. The onlookers on the beach now add to the situation, with the excited response further agitating the situation. Should the officer have used non-lethal secondary weapons, such as a taser, instead of punching the female, it certainly would have been less damaging to the female, but would have caused crowd interaction that might have led to bigger and more potential dangerous outcome on the scene. That is the problem with Monday morning quarterback decisions that officers have to make in a split second. Cries of outrage often come from those with no law enforcement background and with plenty of time to review a fluid and ever-evolving situation, which is quick in its development. Were there other ways of handling this scenario? Of course there were. I would personally have handled it that way. Probably not. Would I have personally handled it that way? Probably not. But then again, I probably have more time on the job than every officer on the scene added together. The experience of the officer combined with the resistance of the female are the prime factors here. However, the one indisputable fact of the whole matter is simple. If the female would have merely provided the information the officer requested, the incident would have never ended up as it did. This conversation would not have been necessary, and a lot of grief could have been spared to everyone involved. Now, postscript, I am boarding this train to New Jersey, and I miscalculated. I had this sense it was Friday and rush hour would be a little earlier, and this would be the typical sea of people that it is during rush hour. This is a PATH train. It's more than a century old, and it is overcrowded. It's one of the most crowded trains in the city, and it really doesn't even go in the city, except for a handful of points before it leaves Manhattan, then goes under the Hudson River to New Jersey. Mike, by the way, is someone I know personally from childhood education. and Mike was kind enough to comment on my blog. Obviously had given the topic considerable. He was thoughtful and obviously a capable writer. Now I think I'm going to get my flow of people. But these are people coming to the city. The real sea of people is the ones leaving the city. That train just arrived. The people exit on one side and board on the other. And that goes to Hoboken. That's the train I'm going to get. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American, living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, a restful night's sleep from 33rd Street, PATH train, Manhattan, New York City. Ciao.